Hello. Hey, my name is Larry Hussey, and my channel is Drug Force and Consumer News. I'm hearing some rumors that simply searching the words drug force will not turn up anything. But anyway, my drug force news for today, and then I'll get to consumer news. My drug force news is that I'm hearing that my web series, which was made on Kyber web animation, it's really an animated slideshow, technically. It's being studied by AIs now to see how AIs used to think in 2023 because I made it in 2023. And so my web series is being used to train new AIs how old AIs used to think. So, thumbs up to that. Hey, I used to work for a company called Payless Shoes, which is now out of business. And so I can definitely talk about them. And before that, I worked for Pickway Shoes, and Pickway Shoes failed, and so they merged with Payless Shoes. Okay, I worked for Pickway Shoes and then for 6 months, and then Payless Shoes for 6 months. And one thing that both companies had was that their retail store managers were expected to work more than 40 hours a week, but they didn't have the power to hire more people to cover the shifts so that maybe they didn't have to work 40 hours a week. This is the point. If you are told that you are expected to work more than 40 hours a week, you should have the power to hire new employees without anyone else's check off or sign off or permission in order to cover the work that you have been told you need to work more than 40 hours for. Now, the headline I just checked just now is Amazon lays off 16,000 more workers. Well, how about that? I wonder how many of those workers were told to work more than 40 hours a week, and they did work 40 hours a week because they enjoyed their job and they wanted to have a career and they wanted to have the status and the money of a career, and now they're being laid off. And that doesn't mean they're not going to get a job somewhere else. If they're in technology, they're probably going to get a job somewhere else. But in your new job, if you don't have the power to hire a new employee for the company without anyone else's sign off, you should not be asked to work more than 40 hours a week. Because if you check out of your job at 5 p.m. and you came in at 9 a.m., and they say, hey, you're expected to work more than 8 hours a week, more than 8 hours a day. They say, why am I expected to work more than 8 hours a day if I don't have the power to hire new people to do the work that you say I'm supposed to do for free? One thing that was really demoralizing about Payless Shoes when I was a manager at Payless Shoes is that it had on the pay stub, it had my hourly rate of pay, which is usually $9 and something. And the more hours I worked, the lower my hourly rate of pay was. It was demoralizing. The more hours I worked that week, the lower my hourly pay was because it had to be exactly what the salary was. That's demoralizing. And now guess what? That company is is defunct, it's bankrupt, it does not exist. Okay? It does not exist. It took a long time, but it does not exist. Okay? So the practice that is very common in retail, very common in non-union retail, is you are a manager and you have to cover all of the time that other employees aren't covering, even if it's more than 40 hours a week, and you are not allowed to hire anyone new unless your district manager signs off on it and says you are allowed to hire someone new. And so you would say, well, I'm working more than 40 hours a week, district manager. I need to hire at least 2 more people. And your district manager would say, no, we don't have a budget for 2 more people. You have as many employees as your store is allowed to have. You need to do it, and you need to work extra hours for free and lower your hourly rate of pay because you're on salary. But if you're on salary, you're supposed to have the ability to hire new people for the company without anyone else's say so in order to cover the work that supposedly is so important that you have to work more than 40 hours a week to do it. Now, I'm going to talk about the so important part. So, um, you know, during this COVID time, restaurants closed completely. And we still have Wendy's is still, they don't open their dining room until 9 a.m., even though their drive through opens at like 6 a.m. And so the idea that your hours of being open are so etched in stone that they cannot ever be changed day by day are completely wrong. Completely, I'm hitting my lamp. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. If you are the store manager and you would be expected to work 43 hours this week for covering between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. till closing at 9 p.m., and because nobody else is doing it and you don't have enough staffing and your district manager won't let you hire any more staffing, even part-time, so you have to do it, guess what? You should be allowed to close that store because you should not be asked to work more than 8 hours a day. You should be allowed to close that store at 6 because we don't have enough staffing. This store is not staffed at a level that can let it be open from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you should be able to go home and tell the district manager, I'm not allowed to hire anybody new. Therefore, store closed at 6 p.m. today because I wasn't going to do it all alone. So the store closed at 6 p.m. today. And if you punish me for that, I'm going to report you to the State Department of Labor and Industry. I'm going to report you to the State Department of Labor and Industry, and I'm going to say, I don't even have the power to hire new people to cover the 3 hour shift tonight. So, and I'm not allowed to hire new people because the district manager says, no, you're not allowed to hire people. Therefore, I closed the store and my district manager punished me. And you can complain about that to the State Department of Labor or the Federal Department of Labor, whatever, and you should do it. All right. So right now you have 2 minutes left on your 10-minute break. Whew, have a good day. I love getting that off my chest. I love doing that. Thank you.